Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Hello and welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. You made the trip. You got DanK and Reverend Will, and we're here to talk to you about the cannabis issues, both local, statewide, and everywhere. Speaking of making the trip, Will and I and our friend Q was on last week. All made a road trip, and we went up to Portland last Saturday to attend the Oregon Medical Cannabis Awards shindig. We didn't stay for the banquet. That was $40, but we were at the other part.
120 for the three of us, so that wasn't happening.
Yeah, but it was a great event. I had some good vendors up there, met some old, ran into some old friends, and made some new ones.
Yeah.
We met with Paul Loney, attorney out of Portland, and spoke with him for a little bit, and which was kind of interesting.
I got to tell you, these lawyers. I'm sorry, man, but for me, when I'm getting a pat answer from a lawyer, then to me, I'm having real problems with that. When I talk to him about the Attorney General and how the Attorney General is supposed to interpret the law, and when I get back and hey, look, you're being paid to make a difference. And right now, the government's not accountable for itself. And that's your job, is to hold them accountable. So don't be giving me this crap that they use this verbology and stuff, and therefore we have to go along with their verbology. These people are supposed to be working for us. I do not understand this concept that they have a right to tell me what the hell I'm supposed to be doing without my permission.
But they're saying you're telling it for your own good.
Yeah, right. Bull. Tell it to Curtis Shimon.
I want to start out the story that we were going to do last week. Didn't have time for it, but I wanted to throw it in here real quick. Medical marijuana users question police use of the cardholder registry. The Oregon Medical Marijuana Program has a deal set up with a registry where law enforcement, if they come across a garden or any type of an investigation, if they want to know if somebody's a patient, they can run their address and see if they're a cardholder. Some are thought for years, we've heard rumors that law enforcement was abusing the practice, and my own experience in 2000, I've forgotten the date, year 2007 or 8, I had a helicopter fly over my place, and I seriously believe that that helicopter came because I was in the registry. But anyway, the Oregon Medical Marijuana Advocates in 2006 successfully pushed to give police around-the-clock access to the state's cardholder registry. Patients with pot figured they wouldn't be arrested if cops could quickly confirm their status with the program. 6 years later, police checked the database thousands of times each month. Law enforcement ran more than 20,000 queries on potential patients and grow sites from March through October of this year. The Oregon Health Authority, Oregon Health Authority data shows this. For some context, about 55,000 people are Oregon medical marijuana patients.
See, this is the same thing that we're talking about. When I'm talking to you about the Attorney General and her ability to interpret the law, to me, that law stated that we were supposed to be getting our marijuana, and that's what the state was supposed to help us do as patients, was to help us get our marijuana. My God, if any of you out there have had the state help you get marijuana, call us. Let us know. We'd love to have you come on the show and talk about that, because I don't see it. I have all kinds of people who are calling me because they have injustices that are happening around them. There's no enforcement agency that we can go to and have support. If you can't get your medicine from the guy who's growing for you, there is absolutely nothing that you can do about it.
That's true.
And then you have the cops come in and bust a place like High Hopes, and you're sitting there going, we have people here in Eugene that were going to get medicine from High Hopes, and sat there and took care of their medicine carefully so that they would run out at the grow time when the season was over. And what happens? The cops come in, a great grow, something that was looked at by legislators as being a model for how it could be done, and the cops come in and say, that's not good enough, that's not right, and they take this medicine, so all these patients, where are they supposed to go? They're supposed to go to OHB? They're supposed to go to DHS? They're supposed to go to ACC, ACMM? There's nobody in there that can help them. All they're doing is sitting there jacking their jaws and getting absolutely nothing done because the legislature was sitting in the seat of power, and now he doesn't have a seat of power, so he's blaming us for it, and therefore he may not support us. Hey, doesn't that remind you of Floyd Przansky and the person who created industrial before Washington was legal, before Colorado was legal? Oregon had legal industrial marijuana, and we have not been able to grow it to this day. So for me, when you're reading that about what's going on with MCheck, it's the same thing. The government is not accountable for its actions. And we were just talking about, was it your granddaughter that was asking you why we have so much violence? And I thought your answer to her was great, you know, because we have so much violence in our society. But the other part of that is the lack of accountability by so-called role models like the president of this country and the people who sit in Congress who judge us harshly and allow the federal government and the DEA and the FDA to lie and to be focused on trying to find a problem with marijuana and not being able to do so and still keeping it illegal.
Yep, yeah, they have a solution looking for a problem is what it amounts to.
That's what it was.
Let me finish on this. This is the Advisory Committee on Medical Marijuana hopes to persuade Oregon Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum to act on their concerns. Her spokesman, Jeff Manning, said Rosenblum hasn't heard reports of police abusing their access to the registry. But 2 years ago, Rosenblum, then an Oregon Court of Appeals judge, wrote an opinion setting parameters on police access to the information. At that time, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office routinely looked up the medical marijuana status of people applying for concealed gun licenses, and Rosenblum ruled the tactic inappropriate. The statute does not authorize the use of database information for purposes of helping determine whether an individual uses or may use marijuana, Rosenblum wrote. The ruling, Brian Michaels said, that's our local attorney, made clear that the database is presumed to be private and that law enforcement may use it, quote, only to prevent unnecessary criminal investigation of patients, not to begin investigation of participants. So,
once again, it's how the government decides to interpret it, and they say, go to hell, citizens. We're not paying any attention to you. So right now, any lawyers that are out there who really care, it would be nice if you could help us in this process. Ellen, if you can help us, it would be awesome if you could interpret the law the way the law was meant to be, which was for the state to help patients get their medicine. You don't even allow us to, you don't even want us calling it a medicine, which is ridiculous. Ask these people like my friend Philip, who was in here once, 25 years on dialysis, watching people all around him die because nobody will take it upon themselves to say that it's okay for patients to use marijuana to eat and to be able to hold their food down, which is one of the biggest problems with dialysis and cancer patients that we have at this point in time. They are dying because they don't have the energy. They don't have the energy because they don't feel like eating or can't eat and can't hold it down. Now, the cancer patients, to me, it's the saddest scenario in the world because, once again, as people who are supposed to have a government that responds to them, are not having the government respond to us appropriately. But the government didn't respond to us appropriately about the wars. They've lied about 9/11. I mean, so why wouldn't you think that they're going to lie about something as simple as pot?
Yeah, definitely.
So, thanks.
Yeah, we're talking about checking of the registry. This struck me here. It says in rural how do you pronounce it? Malheur County, the sheriff's office ran 399 checks, more than the number of patients who live there.
See, this is the kind of thing that people out there go, oh, you got medical, you're all set, you got nothing to worry about. Tell that to the growers trying to deal with mites, who's also trying to deal with the fact that he's supposed to put all, he or she is supposed to put all his time and effort and energy into creating a medicine for us, who else in this country doesn't get paid for the work that they do? Okay, and then you tell us that we're not being discriminated against, yet we're not supposed to drive, we're not supposed to work, and if we sit at home and do our medicine, then we're couch potatoes. Well, if you can't work and you can't drive, it makes it awful hard for you to be doing anything except working around your house. So, once again.
Yeah. He quoted this Oregon State police officer saying, "We will go up there, talk to the grower, and if they allow us on, we will ask to do a compliance check and look at their cards and count the plants to make sure they have enough cards for the plants." Oregon law says nothing about inspections of grow sites by state health officials or police. Advocates object to visits by police. "We don't have a compliance check," said Sandy Burbank, a longtime activist. "There's no way it was ever set up for law enforcement to monitor the program." Lori Duckworth, a medical marijuana advocate in Jackson County, said she gets calls each week from growers approached by police. Callers ask, "Is a compliance check something real? Do I have to let them in?" Duckworth advises growers to tell the cops, "Go get a search warrant and I will comply with you." So that's the thing for you people to take away from this, you that are patients and growers. There you go. Compliance checks are not part of the program, and if they want to come and look at it, tell them to go get a search warrant, politely.
And if they're then intimidating you in any way, shape, or form, whether it's how they look at you or telling you, "Yeah, well, wait until we come back," any of that stuff, make sure you get their badge number and their name.
Yeah,
if they won't give it to you, take out your phone and take a picture.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, because understand this, if they're not going to hold themselves accountable, just like Tim Lewis and the people did with the anarchist movement when they started doing Cop Watch, why do you think Cop Watch came into existence? Because we couldn't trust the cops. We can't trust the cops. We can't trust our mayors. Right now, the mayors are all sitting there, and the governor, look at the governor. He's sitting here trying to give more discounts to Nike and other big businesses so they'll come here. I say, screw Nike, get them the hell out of here. They've done nothing for our cities. They may have done something for our educational system, maybe, as long as you do the dance. But they haven't done anything for our city. They haven't done anything for the town or the people that are here. Get them out of here and get some caring people in here who will create products out of hemp that we can use that will benefit not only us as a state, but our whole society. This is what we need. We don't need more Nike here, okay? Just because you can't get your kids to put everything together overseas anymore, I don't personally need you in Oregon. Not now, not ever. And if our uniforms suffer because of our getting rid of Nike in football, deal with it.
By the way, I saw an Oregon flag. Oh, we got to wrap it up. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up, and we've been talking about the cardholder registry. The next segment, we're going to be talking about a different kind of card, a bank card. We'll be right back.
Peace out.
A gentleman from Dearborn, Michigan is outraged over a 911 call. He wants to know why no charges have been filed against a police officer who admits to confiscating marijuana from suspects and then baking it in brownies. And once he and his wife were full and high, they thought they'd overdosed and called 911.
I think I'm having an overdose, and so is my wife.
Overdose of what?
Marijuana. I don't know if it had something in it. Can you please send rescue?
Did you guys have fever or anything?
No, I think we're dying.
Okay, how much did you guys have?
I don't know. We made brownies, and I think we're dead. Time is going by really, 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 really slow.
Well, instead of being charged, Prilla. Sorry. Instead of being charged, the police department let the officer resign. His wife was not charged either. So far, police officials have not commented on the case.
Now, how do you follow a story like that? Well, talk about switching gears. Time is going by really, really slow.
Well, we're back. It was like a bad debt. We were talking about the card registry earlier, and now we've got a story out of Phoenix, Arizona. Pot dispensaries are forced to work on a cash basis. Arizona's emerging medical marijuana dispensary industry is being forced to operate on a cash-only basis because banks won't do business with them. Checking accounts and credit card machines are state licensed Florida state licensed dispensaries are non-existent because federally insured banks and credit unions steer clear of them. That's because pot remains illegal under federal law, and they've been warned by federal regulators to stay away. The Arizona Republic reports doing business only in cash is a nightmare for dispensaries. They have to set up safe houses and potentially use armored transport for the cash they collect. It also makes it hard to pay bills and taxes and make payroll.
So right here is another classic example of the government not being responsible for their own selves, but holding other people responsible and accountable on a higher level. When it talks about this being illegal under federal law, and they've been warned by federal regulators to stay away, it's the same thing as being a veteran and going to a VA hospital and having the doctors there tell you that they cannot talk to you about a medicine that is beneficial for you because the federal government says so. Yet at the same time, you see and hear all these people talk like Peter DeFazio about being VA conscious, about caring about us. Quit telling me that you care about me and not letting me do my medicine or be responsible for my body and what goes into it. That's the bottom line. That's to you, Mr. President, you, Mr. Congressman, Floyd Brzezinski, all of you. Understand this. You all work for me. And I would love to have the opportunity to fire you all for incompetence when you talk about caring, and then we don't even have a patient-doctor relationship that's sacred. That's nuts.
Or force them to take drug tests.
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
I don't want anybody to take drug tests, but the thing is, if they're telling us we have to take drug tests, why aren't they taking drug tests?
You brought this up before about when I was up there with Bill Morissette and how I told him, I says, if you're not doing drug tests and setting the example as a role model here as a congressman, why are you telling me that I need to?
That's right. That's a good point. I got to find that footage, and we'll get it on a future show. Oh, you can see Reverend Will at the hearing in Salem. We had a standing ovation from our side of the gallery when he said told the legislature, I think there were 7 of them, that he wanted to have them take a drug test if they're forcing it on us. So.
Because of the decisions that they're making. I'm going, you got to be stoned to make decisions like this. I mean, you keep blaming us. But then, you know, it's just like talking about poor Curtis. I mean, the guy knew that he was putting his...
Kannabosm. This is the Eugene Medical Marijuana Club that was busted. A friend of ours, Curtis Shimon, how do you pronounce that? Shimon, yeah. Yeah, go ahead and tell about it. Well, it's...
Well, for me, the whole thing is he knew he was putting his butt on the line when he decided to do this, and that, you know, his whole thing was that he believed in his heart that what he was doing was in the best interest of the patient, which to me is what I'm asking our Attorney General to do, is to put her interpretation on this law, which would be beneficial for the patients, not for the $1 million that we created the first year that we had this in effect, or the millions of dollars that we've created since then, seeing as how that's what the government focuses on. But Curtis,
yeah, excuse me, what Will's referring to is the fees that patients are paying to the state. The state's making money off the program. They were making money before they raised the rates.
Right. And that was one of our problems, was that we wanted to tell them how that money should be spent, like they did in Oakland with the city council there, where they told them, we want the money to go to schools. Okay, here we've been trying to tell them, going to the mayors and others, and the city council, that we would like to support the sheriff's department and the schools in this area. But Curtis was a person who was taking care of people, and that's the whole idea here. It's like Brian Michael said, all he was doing was distributing medicine to people who need it, and now he's faced with 7 felonies and 1 misdemeanor. He's got to go back to court next month, and right now he's been charged with things like racketeering, money laundering, and illegally growing and selling pot. I don't know. You know, for me, he added that the felony charge of racketeering typically applies to a large criminal enterprise that makes money through illegal business dealings. Shimon owned a small, legitimate operations. And of course, the district attorney won't comment.
Yeah, it says Kannabosm was one of several medical marijuana clubs raided by police in Oregon since late last summer. Dozens of similar dispensaries remain open elsewhere across the state. And also, we had a story here a while back there that they're going for forfeiture. They're moving to take his property and what money that they came across.
I mean, they started the investigation right after he opened the business, and then they sent somebody in there and to buy herb, which you have to do. I mean, understand, the people who are growing this, people, can you possibly hear this? You know, we're supposed to be taking care of each other, and we're not supposed to get any recompense for doing it. What businesses in this country do you have that has people who work for nothing, and yet we're supposed to do it? This to me is the second-class citizen type of thinking that puts us in a situation where we have no recourse but to act illegally in order to take care of our people. And understand this, all you people with cancer patients in your families, we have been busting a nut trying to give this information to you. We've told you where it's at. You can go to phoenixtears.com. You can go to Rick Simpson Oils, and you can see how there are people who are being healed with this in Canada and possibly other places. And your government is keeping this information from you so that your family members are dying these horrible deaths. When are you going to wake up to the fact that the carrot that you're following, the government, is plastic? Okay, you're not going to get anything out of it.
Yeah, this wasn't a lax operation either. I went in there once and wanted to go in and check it out. They wouldn't let me through into the inner area because I'm a card holder, I'm a caregiver, but I didn't have my patient with me. And only patients or caregivers with their patients can go in the back. So I wasn't even allowed to get in the back.
Right, and then we encountered that this weekend when, even though I have a medical card, my medical card ran out before I'm getting my new card. Doesn't mean I'm not covered, because I did go in and take care of my business, and I got the green card sent to me from the post office, which makes me legal. But in leaving my home, I took my card that has expired with me, and I left the green postal card here. So when I tried to go into a dispensary in Portland, they wouldn't let me in. So I learned my lesson. I didn't get to go see or experience this herb.
Yeah, that reminded me, we got sidetracked and never did talk about our trip so much.
No, it was nice. And we
definitely
experienced a couple of the different dispensaries up there, as well as the world famous Cannabis
Cafe. We went to the world famous Cannabis Cafe, but we also went on to a couple other. We went to Potlandia, which is run by the Oregon Green Free organization. OregonGreenFree.net. Recommend it highly. And that was a really neat scene.
Social club.
Social club. The guy that owns the building is very supportive. I was very impressed with him. And they're open every day of the week.
And they have events, and they have people show up and play music and stuff like this. So, I mean, at least...
And a farmer's market.
They had a farmer's market there as well. And, you know, it was a nice, relaxed atmosphere. They work real hard to make sure that there's taxis available, that they're right on the bus lines, because that's one of the big things anymore, is worrying about people driving. So they also have a bike outlet there so that you can ride your bike there. And the whole thing was just very awesome. You know, it was nice to see that these are happening, and you know, these clubs are in effect and making a difference in Portland.
Right. So, and then the other one we stopped at, I've forgotten the name of it now.
I forgot too.
So we'll have to mention that in an earlier show and give them credit, but they're just starting, and so it's good that there's the outlets. I hear people in Lane County that get a hold of me all the time, want to know, where do I get my medicine? And
right.
It's a tough call because we don't have any facility like that here, not anymore.
So for me, I've asked Dan if we could take a moment and also say how we're thinking and praying for the people that are going through this massive tragedy that we just had happen last week. where these children died. The thing that makes me saddest here in Oregon is the fact that what I hear from the TV stations is that people here are running out and buying weapons. Now, that to me is not a consciousness that is supporting these children who have died and their families and what they're going through. And it shows the kind of mentality when we were talking about your granddaughter, where she's wondering why we have these things that are happening, and you explain to her that we have violence on TV and in our movies, we have violence in our games, you know, and that it is a violent society. And when you have people going out and buying guns out of the fear that they might not be able to, well, understand this, folks. If you have a handgun or if you have an automatic weapon, you know, to me, you're not using your thought processes properly, because it only takes one bullet to kill somebody. And if you're that bad a shot that you got to spray 20, 30 rounds, you know, to hit one thing, then you shouldn't have a gun in the first place. So,
you know about people arming themselves and such. It reminds me years ago during the airplane hijacking craze we were going through, and All in the Family TV show and Archie Bunker. It was, remember that was real popular then?
Yeah.
Well, Archie Bunker one time on the show, he come up with, he said, well, I know how to stop all this hijacking. He just gave everybody on the plane a gun.
Well, you know, a friend of ours brought up a really good point. You know, you had one shoe bomb threat, and now everybody's got to take their shoes off when they get on a plane.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we've had 31, I think.
Something like that. School shootings.
School shootings.
Yeah. That's not 31 victims. That's 31 shootings.
In the
incidents.
last 20 years. And what has been done to stop that? Okay? I mean, personally, you want everybody to have a gun in this country? Let's go back to the Wild West and let's get rid of the cops. Okay? Everybody takes care of their own place and their own family, and that's the bottom line. But until you're willing to do that, then I'm not willing to support any kind of gun control. I just want us to get on with a better life. So
you bet.
We're out of here, huh?
So we're wrapped up, and appreciate it. Hope you got some good information from our show. And next week, we're going to talk about jury nullification. Look it up, do research on it. We'll be back.
Bye. Peace out.